Let's just start down the highway where what should have been the most innocuous of training sessions, given Geelong have the week off, reached a flashpoint when Bailey Smith confronted News Corp photographer Alison Wind, who had taken that image of Smith getting treatment before training in full view at the open part of the session. Smith twice confronted, swore and demanded that Wind delete those images, believing it was an invasion of his personal space.
It's really disappointing. It's unacceptable, it's not good enough, and it shouldn't be indulged. You can't have it both ways, Bailey. That's what we've got to here. You ask for understanding, you bravely bare your soul, and then you undo all your good work by belittling a photographer who's just trying to do his job, or her job in this instance. So just be better, Bailey. Be a better man than that. I think the footy world has tried to understand and accept that no one's perfect and you've got your shortcomings, as we all have. But there's been way, way better players than you, mate, that have had to put up with more than that and have been able to do it with a degree of class. So we respect you. Pay it back. Pay it back. That's just not on.
I suspect he has a difficult relationship with the paparazzi side of things, which not many footballers have to do. That's not what this is. This is the football environment. It's a safe environment. It's a shared environment, and there needs to be that respect going both ways.
Missed the mark badly, and I'll wait to see. Geelong have got a fantastic record of handling these things, but we need to hear from them and we need to hear from him.
This is finals footy, isn't it? You just don't know what's going to get thrown up.
What an amazing day today. We'll get to the Zach Merritt side of it in just a moment, and of course Brad Scott's appearance moments ago on AFL 360. But Lauren, you were at GMHBA Stadium today, and again we're speaking about one man in Bailey Smith. What happened?
Well, I can't believe exactly what happened. Of course, he has launched a verbal tirade at News Corp photographer Alison Wind. She's a long-time servant of the Geelong Advertiser. Worked in the region for 25 years. She has just about seen it all. She would have captured 2,000 plus Geelong training sessions, but didn't know what she was in for today, and neither did any of us, expecting to be down there for a stock standard training session. So you can see here now, Bailey Smith was receiving some treatment on the bench, on his back and hip region. Now, he stayed under there for a little while and then came out from undercover and made a beeline straight for Alison, who you can see there is shooting a number of rows back in the pocket, pretty stock standard for an open media session there. He then turns on his heel and he comes back for more. It was an expletive-laden tirade delivered at her job, exactly what he thought of it, John. Now, I can tell you, as we sit here right now, Bailey has not apologised for this. This is the second time he has delivered such a spray to Alison this season. Another also coming earlier this year to a female ABC reporter. So the way Alison put it to me today was that I've been doing this for 25 years. I've never quite been as rattled as I was today. She said, I was just there doing my job, which is to photograph him doing his job. She is in her workplace, John. It was completely unacceptable. Bailey has not apologised at the moment. We understand that Chief Executive of the Cats, Steve Hocking, contacted Alison just a couple of hours ago, expressed his own apology, but of course wasn't speaking for Bailey Smith. I tell you what, I did not expect that heading down to Geelong today.
So Bailey's view is that he was in a vulnerable place. He was getting treatment in a private area of the club, that he wasn't underneath the stadium in the rooms, but certainly he was in a dugout there. He was getting treatment on his hip. His view is that he asked quite politely for her to delete those photos and that he doesn't believe he has anything to apologise for. The problem is if he says, can you pass that cup, or yes or no, it has an expletive attached to it before or after. That is the Bailey Smith way. And so she clearly felt threatened. Geelong asked the media down. It was not a private place. He was sitting on the bench in plain view. We don't mind. This is great drama here. The problem for Bailey is that he needs to pull his head in. Now, I think Geelong is fully aware of it. I'm not sure whether they're prepared to enforce it. Is it the right thing for him leading into a final game next week? No, it's ridiculous. And so, Corbin, he's dragged himself into a situation that is just so needless again.
Yeah, it's a worry if he's on that much of a hair trigger, that if something goes the way that he doesn't want it to, that's the kind of reaction that we get from him. So I would be concerned if I was the Cats on the back of that. It is interesting. I think it speaks to a broader view that the Cats have towards the media. Remember in the Chris Scott episode a few weeks ago where he was very unhappy that AFL media released a bunch of vision which included or overheard some of the conversations that were being had out on the field, and Chris's response was very much, well, we just won't let him in then. And we see the way they treat their injury list is different to every other club in the competition. They're involved in late trades. or late changes more than any other team in the competition. So I think Chris, and he's even given voice to this in the past, he doesn't believe in the way that the AFL have done it. The AFL are doing it largely for their media partners, and really the AFL just turns a blind eye and a deaf ear to that. So they're not overly concerned in the way that the Cats choose to do it, which is different from every other team in the competition. But I think we've seen it shown up here in the way that one of their players feels like it's so out of the ordinary. I was at Collingwood today. People can walk in off the street and stand within 3 metres of Jordan De Goey running around. There were players that had treatment very similar to Bailey Smith today, including Nick Dacos, and we didn't get any of that kind of circus.
I think that's the thing. As you said, John, the premise of his initial argument was that that was a private moment. This is an open media session that was clubs, they've invited the media in. If you want your private moment, you go down the race, you walk 30 metres down the race and you have your treatment there. Or this was actually before the session began. Have it in the rooms beforehand. So I think particularly with Bailey, as you say, it is that sort of erratic response to it. I don't think anyone would have batted an eyelid if he quietly said to Alison, would you mind just not shooting me when I'm on the bench, or spoken to the media manager to say, look, just that photographer over there, I'm just not really a fan of that. But essentially what we end up with now is something that we just can't stand for. I mean, as I say, this is her workplace and no one deserves to be abused or intimidated in their workplace. You would have to be concerned if you're Geelong. This is 11 days out for the game. This isn't 11 minutes before a game.
It's erratic, but that's also his package. And so he would say, no, I want privacy. Well, he's going out with an influencer who posts shots to her 20 million followers. He's tops off in all of his Cotton On gear and all of his advertisements. And so it is erratic. Now, I would think that the line between him being public enemy number one, which he has been, and the glamour boy is absolutely wafer thin. 2021, one of the great final series we've seen. And then, of course, he descended into some of his issues with the drugs. And then, of course, that didn't help. The scrutiny didn't help his mental health. So if it's only for trying to preserve or retain his mental health, as I say, pull your head in, ask nicely, drop the F-bombs for 10 seconds, and it's likely to go your way. It went the opposite of that today.
Yeah, it is going to be really interesting as well to see what happens from here. It's unclear as we sit here at the moment if there's any action that Geelong or maybe the AFL will take on this. He's got, as I say, a long list of indiscretions just this year alone. So be very interesting to see. Of course, we'll keep you up to date from that.
Teammate Shannon Neal was asked about the exchange shortly after.
I know no one barracks for the media. That's, again, another nature of the beast. But is it appropriate to have players going at media at an open session?
If it was, I guess not. No, but, I've sort of heard word that something happened. I didn't see it. I don't know what happened. But, yeah, I probably can't really comment on it as I don't really know the context or didn't see it. So I'm sorry about that.
Neal's stellar season has seen him throw up externally as potential trade bait in a deal for Wantaway Carlton star Charlie Curnow. Neal admits he wasn't aware of the outside chat until recently.
Yeah, I remember walking sort of through the holes and Andrew Mackie came up to me and just sort of said, mate, I want you to know you're not going anywhere. I sort of didn't really know what he was talking about at the time, and then sort of realised after, so it was sort of good in a way. I was like, oh, thanks. And I walked away. I was so puzzled, and then sort of later figured out what he was talking about. So it was good to get the clarity before I even knew about it. But like I said, it's good to feel wanted. But I'm really invested in this group. I'm really happy here, and from my part, won't be going anywhere.
The Cats have the week off as they wait to face the winner of Adelaide and Hawthorn's clash on Friday night.